Hello, everyone. Jason W. New Age Revolution. Down here in the cave. What did I stop at? Oh, okay, fine. Never mind. All right, so let's talk about some stuff. Let's see. We're going to coming up on the channel. We've got. I like the idea of those Mount Rushmore shows. We're going to do an 80s food Mount Rushmore, right? The top 4, my personal top 4 80s foods. And then we'll do something else. We'll do something else with the Rushmore. I don't know. I'm going to think of that as I go along. Maybe the top 4 Nintendo games. This Mount Rushmore thing is going to be a show. Going to be a topic. And I also like the tournaments idea because I learn about myself, too, when we do the tournament. Look, when I went into the My Favorite LJN tournament, I didn't know Hulk Hogan was going to win. I honestly thought Terry Funk was going to win. But talking it through with you guys, I realized that Hogan was my favorite. So I want to do a bunch of tournaments. I want to do them with... the Friday the 13th series. I want to do them with the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I want to do them with the Rocky series. But before I do that, I'm going to watch Creed and Creed 2. I haven't seen either one of those because I want to include those two. So, tournaments where I actually get to... So I'm using you guys to learn about me, right? And I like doing that. So we're going to do AWA Remco tournament. But now, right now... you guys wanted a WWF Wrestling Superstars Managers Tournament, right? The Managers. And we're going to do that right now. But not including the referees, the blue shirt and the white shirt referee, because I can tell you right now, well, let's see. If I do the blue shirt and white shirt referee, that'll give us... Right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 managers. And we need 16 figures to have an actual even bracketed tournament. And even if I added the 2 managers... we're not going to have 16 managers, okay? Or figures that were, so like Vince McMahon is included in this. Mean Gene is included in this. So even if I pulled the variants, the Bobby Heenan with scrolls, Jimmy Hart without hearts on the megaphone, and the 2 referees, we'd still only have 14. And we wouldn't have an even bracketed tournament. So we're going to do this tournament a little bit differently. This is going to be a random draw tournament. I'm going to reach for 2 figures. Those 2 figures are going to take on each other. The winner is going to stay in my hand. The loser is going to go like that. I'm going to toss him. Then I'm going to grab another one. And he's going to take on the second one. So we're going to do it like that. We're not going to be able to do a elimination tournament, a bracket, because we don't have the right amount of figures, and somebody would get a bye, and that's just not fair. So we're going to do it like this. All right. Also coming up on the channel, and I know that this has been my most requested video from you guys, the 1 year of hair growth update, right? I know all of you are wanting an update on that. Even if you don't think you do, you're not being honest with yourself. And so at the end of February, which is coming soon, I will give you a 1 year, I will give you an update on the second month of the 12 months of hair growth. And don't think that we're just cutting it off after 12 months. No, indeed. We're going to keep going. We'll just stop talking about it after 12 months, right? I know you're excited. At the end of February, we're going to show pictures from January 1st, right? And then we'll show pictures February 1st, and then we'll show pictures March 1st, right? 3 months, almost 2 months, whatever. But we're getting there. We're up to March with hair growth. I know that's huge for you. Let's get into the tournament. All right, so I'm gonna randomly draw. They're in a pile here. Oh, let me tell you who's in here. We've got Bobby Heenan. We've got Elizabeth. We have Jimmy Hart. We have Johnny V. We have Mr. Fuji. We have Captain Lou, Slick, Freddie Blassie, Vince McMahon, and Mean Gene. Okay, and we are putting them into piles. We are combining them, and we're going in, and we're pulling two figures. And what do we got? All right, we've got. We put that pile aside. We've got Captain Lou. Captain Lou taking on Johnny V. All right, the winner of this is going to immediately take on another manager. All right, so we've got Johnny V. Now this, okay, so if you have been watching a little bit of Wrestling with the Past with me, I'm currently up to November 1984. And believe it or not, even though it's early, Johnny V is there. Johnny V, well, he's not known as Johnny V yet. He's still just luscious Johnny Valiant. And he is managing Brutus Beefcake. And Johnny Valiant, is quickly becoming one of my least favorite wrestling personalities. Right? As I watch these shows, I start to realize who I really don't like. And because of this run of 1984, I have determined that I can't stand Johnny Valiant, and I can't stand Angelo Mosca. You already know I'm not a big Roddy Piper fan, but I can't stand Angelo Mosca, and I can't stand Johnny Valiant. He's an absolutely horrible interviewer. Now, why is that such a big deal? Well, because he's a manager. And usually, either back in the day or all throughout wrestling history, you know, they'd put a manager with a guy who maybe needed to work on his mic skills, right? Or they wanted to be a silent, you know, a strong silent type character. And so they would put a manager with him, and the manager would do the talking. Obviously, we're going to talk about some of the greatest managers of all time. But outside of the WWF, think about Jim Cornette, right? Love him or hate him today, it doesn't matter. Jim Cornette was an absolutely fantastic, brilliant, perfect manager back in the early 80s of NWA. In fact, if you go back and you watch some NWA Championship Wrestling from TBS, the 605 stuff, you got Jim Cornette, you got Bobby Eaton, and you got Dennis Condrey, the Midnight Express. And they literally, especially Bobby Eaton, who I don't even think could talk. I'm not even sure Bobby Eaton could actually. I don't know if Bobby Eaton had his voice box removed, because you never heard Bobby Eaton talk. But when you watch those Midnight Express interviews, Jim Cornette does all the talking. The Midnight Express literally stand there with their mouths closed and looking off into the crowd. Bobby Eaton is always like looking off and thinking about stuff. And Jim Cornette is just doing like absolute magic. And then he says something, they end it, and they all walk off, and the Midnight Express never said two words. I love that. Love that. So anyway, the point of all of that is you need a guy on the mic that can really deliver. And Johnny V's, you know, promos are horrendous. He's awful. He is an awful, awful talker. In real life wrestling, I never really cared about any of the stables that he had. You know, Brutus Beefcake. He did manage the Dream Team, but I liked them better with Jimmy Hart. You know, I liked Greg Valentine better with Jimmy Hart. You know, Johnny Valiant, I think, later on did he manage Dino Bravo? Johnny V, was he with Dino Bravo? In the Rougeos, maybe? I don't know. That's stretching it. That's like getting into stuff where I'm like fading out of wrestling. But anyway, as a figure, now this figure has some notoriety. This is the last LJN figure I ever got as a kid. And I would think that it was probably, well, it had to be after 89. This is going to be bizarre because I think it was, oh man, when did I... Because I did get some of the 89s, but I didn't get them for Christmas. I'm going to say that I got Johnny V for Christmas 1989. Now you're thinking, well, what about, you know, the black car? I didn't get those for Christmas. I think I got them for my birthday or just randomly. those few black cards that I got, the 89s. So I think that John Valiant came in 89 as my final LJN wrapped under the Christmas tree. He has that distinction. He came very, very late in play, 1990 or 1989. The figures ended in 89. 90 we had nothing, and then 91, or what's 90? The Hasbros came out in either 90 or 91. So I did shift into Hasbros while still playing with some LJNs. Long story short, John Valiant didn't get much action at all. I don't like him as a wrestling personality, and I didn't care for the figure at all. He's taking on Captain Lou Albano. Totally different story. I don't love Captain Lou as a bad guy in the WWF. I don't love Captain Lou as a good guy in the WWF. He's got the Roddy Piper thing going for me. He rambles and babbles and doesn't make a lot of sense, and kind of repeats himself, the same little shtick gimmicky phrases that he has. I never loved him as a manager, but as a figure, I loved this figure, and I used him as a manager, and I also used him as a wrestler. Captain Lou did double time in my LJN Federation as the Executioner. Okay. No mask, just a short, stocky, kind of jobber fella in my Federation known as the Executioner. Right? Because there was a point in time when I stopped. Like, if you're playing for years and years and years, like I was, you get to a point in time where you just stop bringing in managers, right? It's too much of a hassle. Just have them in the ring. They're not going to play much of a role. Maybe I'd bring a manager to the ring if they were going to play a role. But, they didn't overall. So Captain Lou had action as the Executioner. You needed opening card guys, right? Or opening match guys. And Captain Lou as the Executioner was my opening card guy. I'm pretty sure that I wrestled with Johnny Valiant too. Like, of course, you have a match stipulation where if the guy wins, he gets 5 minutes alone with the manager. I did that all the time. So Johnny V got some wrestling, but Captain Lou defeats John Valiant handily. Johnny V is eliminated. Captain Lou stays. Let's go into the pile and pick out Mean Gene. Okay. Captain Lou versus Mean Gene. Now, Mean Gene was an absolute... Mean Gene is my most used LJN figure. How about that? Why? Well, obviously, because he was the ring announcer for every single match I had. And yes, I used a ring announcer. I absolutely had Mean Gene in the ring every time I played. He would introduce everybody. And there were some times when, and I was such a goofy kid. Like, when the tape recorders and cassette recorders were all the rage and every kid was putting their voice on tape, I would write down my card, okay, for the next day, and then I would record the introductions on tape. Right? So if Tito Santana was taking on Greg Valentine, I would record my voice saying, introducing first, from, of course it was Tacula, Mexico, 247 pounds, Tito Santana. And I would record that. Right? I obviously couldn't record the winner because I didn't know who was going to win yet, because wrestling's not predetermined. So I didn't know who was going to win, so I couldn't record the outro. Right? And then I would put Mean Gene in the ring and play the tape. So that's my lazy way. I would just sit there, and wait for the ring announcements to come, for the introductions to come, stop the tape, have the match. How about that? Mean Gene was always a part of the Federation, and he's a great looking figure. I mean, good God, that is perfect Mean Gene face, perfect capture. It's Mean Gene. But again, he's taken on Captain Lou Albano, who, again, had a pretty prominent role as a opening match preliminary wrestler, the Executioner. Is that enough to put Captain Lou over Mean Gene? No, it's not. Mean Gene is going to defeat Captain Lou. Why? I don't think there's going to be a lot of managers that are visually iconic, right? There's that phrase that I'm patenting. But, the Mean Gene figure in the tuxedo, standing in the ring, is a major visual memory, right? The wrestlers would all be on a shelf, or I would divide them, good guys and bad guys, on the floor, right? So they'd be in little factions. But Mean Gene was always in the center of the ring. He would just stand there. And even as an adult, when I was displaying these figures, I would have the figures on a shelf, but I would not put Mean Gene on a shelf. Wherever the ring was, Mean Gene would be propped in the center of the ring. So this figure has a lot of history with me, and it's a great figure. And so Mean Gene moves on. So we're at 16 minutes. All right, final matchup of this round. We've got Mean Gene taking on, Bobby Heenan. Okay, tough one. Bobby Heenan is probably the all-time greatest wrestler, if not one of the all-time greatest wrestling personalities in history. I mean, he's what can you say? I mean, Bobby Heenan is legendary. And this figure's fine. This figure's okay. And I love the Bobby Heenan sweater with the big BH, and this one happens to have the scrolls. And boy, did he play a role. I mean, if any manager was definitely going to come to the ring, it was going to be Bobby Heenan. I absolutely wrestled with managers. Maybe not Jimmy Hart so much because of the megaphone, but Mr. Fuji wrestled, Johnny V wrestled, Captain Lou wrestled as the executioner. Bobby Heenan definitely wrestled. Again, as like, I'm going to get my hands on you, manager, and he did wrestle. So this is a really, really, really important figure. Great looking figure. Does he have enough to get by Mean Gene? Now remember, this is not my favorite wrestling personality, okay? So which figure was more prominent in the childhood? And I mean, that's going to be tough. I mean, Mean Gene was a major, major part of play. Like he was just a part of play. And Bobby Heenan is a great figure. He's a must-have figure. But did he get enough action to really take the spot from Mean Gene, who was constantly in the ring? No, guys, I don't think so. Bobby Heenan, don't get me wrong, Bobby Heenan is the greatest of all time. But to me, was he more important? And I don't think so. Bobby Heenan is going to be eliminated by Mean Gene. And so far, Mean Gene is standing as my favorite manager thus far. We've got 6 more figures to go. I think one is going to be more important than you guys would imagine. Okay? And might be a dark horse to win the whole thing. Mean Gene is moving on. We'll come back tomorrow. Mean Gene will take on someone else, and so on from there. That is all, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you like this format. It's the only way to do it, having a weird number of wrestlers, and we'll do it tomorrow. Good night now.